we say it's really important before you start to get the blessings of all the saints and sages and all those beings that are watching us. We think we're the only people in this room, but it's not true. It really isn't true. There are so many dimensions that we cannot see with our physical eye, but they're there. There's so many dimensions we just don't know about. And this is why it's so important that while we are living, to really try and understand who we really are, the divine consciousness. We will soon die, so it's really important that we live a meaningful life before it's too late. All the scriptures tell us the most three important things that one can receive on this earth is first, a human birth. I mean, look at us. We all have a human birth. I mean, if you had an animal birth, yes, you have a little bit of intelligence, but you can't do anything really with it. With a human mind, we have the ability to search and look. All of us do search. All of us are looking for something. We're looking here and there. And what are we looking for? I remember when I was younger, my early days, I was doing what I loved. I taught dancing for many, many years. I had a dance school with 130 pupils. I loved it. I loved that work. But still in that work, I found something was missing. I kept on thinking, what is missing? What is missing? All the time, what was missing was connecting the divine consciousness with my mental consciousness. I separated that which was divine in me to the human side of me. And then with yoga, then thank God, I had problems with knees and feet. I had to give up teaching dance, which at that time I thought was the worst thing that happened to me, and which actually turned out to be the best thing that happened to me, because I went into yoga next. And with that, I learned that by diving into the consciousness, that my life became so much more meaningful and interesting. It wasn't anymore about searching outside and hoping for somebody to give me happiness. It was now about being inside of me, finding my way home and finding the happiness within. It was no more struggling out there, what am I going to do with my life? What is my life's mission? But instead, I just have to be who I am, and my life's mission will come to me. It was this escape or this freedom from the desire of the mind to have so many things happen. We want this and we want that, and why hasn't this happened? And suddenly, after years of practice, all that wanting just disappeared. And do you know how freeing that is? It's the greatest freedom you can experience while you're living, because if you notice your mind, we're just so pulled by desires. I don't want this, or I want this, and why do I have to experience this? I don't really like this experience, or I love this experience. And it's all this attachment to experience that makes us miserable or happy. And there's this lovely story about this bird called a kite, and it was stooping down towards the sea, and it caught a fish. And as soon as it caught a fish, the crows kept on following this kite with the fish. And the kite was going here and there in confusion, and the crows kept on following it. And it was panicking. In its confusion, it dropped the fish. The moment it dropped the fish, all the crows went towards the fish. And the kite goes, oh my God, I am so glad I let go of the fish. I don't have to be running around crazy anymore. I can relax now. That's what they wanted. See, the attack stopped. And this is what happens to us. We hold on to things and we think we can control it. We think we can change it. We think we want to. And if it doesn't work the way we want it, we get confused, we get angry, we get so confused, so angry. And then all these problems follow us. My master used to say, the more you chase after something, the more it will run away from you. So it's like our attachments, the more we hold on to them, the less we'll get them. So when you say, I don't want, you know, even with relationships, male, female, isn't it that way? The more you chase after somebody, they run away. Oh my God, it's too heavy for me. But if you play it a little cool and become a challenge, then people are interested, you know? So it is the same way. When we chase after things, it just goes all wrong and there's a lot of confusion. Sometimes when things don't work, you just have to let it go. And this is the story of the kite. Just let it go. Otherwise, you know, you're holding on to it and everything else is going to follow you. And you're going to be tortured by these things. Not to let go. And I was actually speaking to my son this morning about this. You know, obviously with business, you always get up and downs. And it's normal. Anything you do in life, it's normal. You're going to have struggles. You're going to have people who are going to cheat you. You're going to have uncomfortable situations in life, isn't it? It's just going to happen. You're going to be uncomfortable. And we're speaking on the phone, and I go, you know, Shaman, you've done your best. You always do your best. Just let it go, you know? And then he goes, yeah, you know, Mom, I totally know what you're saying. It's so hard to do. And I said, I really understand that. It took me so many years of practice. And you know, because they witnessed it growing up with me, from my struggle to my peace, and they've seen it. I said, it took me so many years, but you know, best work I've ever done. Maybe you should think of coming to this work more. And I said to him, why do you think I called you shaman? S-H-A-M-A-N, you call them shamans. I said, I had you when I was 23. I didn't even know the meaning of shamans. I think the gods wanted you to do higher work. Sometimes your name gives you an inclination of what you should do with your life. Watch that. You know, if you look at some names in life, it's really interesting, isn't it? You know, when Salman Rushdie, do you remember when he wrote the satanic verses and they put a fatwa, no, on his life? And I looked at his name and I go, oh my God, sell, man, rush, die. He was trying to sell the book, right? I mean, this was my own interpretation. So, and sometimes when you see names, and this is why in Sanskrit we sometimes give, you know, when people have names, we change their names to Sanskrit names, so that they develop those lovely qualities. They develop those, because, you know, when you're constantly, I had a student whose name was in Spanish, problems. What's the name of problems in Spanish? A D, starting with D. Dolores, pain. Oh my God. And she was always in pain. But she said, I don't want a Sanskrit name. Her attitude was like that. I don't want this. Yet she came to all the yoga classes. She saw me, but everything was no. And so I said, oh, your life is full of pain because you're always saying no. And everybody's calling you Dolores, which means pain. Can we change your name to Joy? How about Joy? You don't have a Sanskrit name, but we'll call you Joy here. And while she was in the center, everybody, this is in Gibraltar Center, everybody called her Joy, and she did really well for a couple of months. Stopped coming again, people stopped calling her Joy outside of the yoga center, right? Guess what? Within 3 months, she went back into pain mode. And I tried to explain to her, look, do you see how important names and words are? But, you know, when the mind is in a dark place, it just doesn't want to listen. And then I had to let her go, because when people don't want to listen, you just have to allow them to find their own journey and know that they will find the way one day. That's how I feel, you know. We're not here to force anyone or change anyone. All we can do is share what we know, and that's what I do here. I share what I know. If you agree with it, great, and if you don't, it's also okay. I'm not here for anything else. There's nothing I want. It's just that it's given me so much peace in my life, and there's nothing else to do with my life but share what I know, irrespective of whether you want it or not. And if you don't, like I said, no big deal. You know, many times in Gibraltar, people see me in the street and maybe they haven't come for a long time because they've been with me maybe 15, 20 years, and they stop coming and they look and they stop in the streets and they'll say, oh, Nalanie, I'm so sorry I haven't come. I said, no, there's nothing to be sorry about. I'm so happy you find your way. If you ever lose your way, I'm here. I'm so happy you find your way. That's the whole idea of this sharing. There's no ownership, because the knowledge I'm sharing doesn't belong to me. It is all of ours. We're all divine. You know, we just forgot it. Like I said, the one wonderful thing, there are three gifts. The first one is that we have a human birth. The second one is that we have this thirst for the truth, or to find out who we are and what we are. That thirst for the truth that drives us forward to be better than what we can be. Better. This is man's mission. Master Chinmayananda was a great teacher, and he said, we sell ourselves short by making our vision so small. Material things. Man was born to be angels, and from angels we become gods, and finally from gods we become one with the divine consciousness. But we never seem to move ahead to become angels because we get so wrapped up in the basic world of thoughts and needs and wants and desires and fear and panic, and we think we're happy. Then we miss out on life. We miss out on life. So diving into the divine consciousness is to go deep within our heart and ask ourselves the deep question, who am I? I mean, not just say it on a theoretical basis or scientific, many yogis go, who am I practice who am I. No, that's very shallow. Really ask yourself, who am I? And contemplate it. Contemplate it. Really contemplate it deeply. Who is the one that gets your heart to beat every day? What gets your heart beating? It's a machine, right? But who? Who's created the heart? Do you tell your heart in the morning, today you're going to beat so many million times today? Do you talk to it like that? It just beats. Do you tell your heart as well, it's time to die now? Well, the yogis can do that. No. I wouldn't advise you do it, because you can develop the siddhi if you want it, but I wouldn't advise it. You just have to come back and do it all over again. But there are people who can do that. I mean, if you read about, you see many Buddhist literature, or you read Buddhist literature, they call the rainbow death. When they feel there's nothing they want more from this life, these great monks just decided there's nothing for them to do. They're getting old. The body is not useful. They will lie on their bed in meditation. And the next morning, people will find nails and hair, but nobody. There's nobody. These are all recorded texts, so you can look at it yourself. In a lot of our Hindu scriptures, we have it. But these people have, worked with their minds to such a degree that they've dropped their mind and gone into the spirit, which is the energy, atoms, then now they're working really at a very scientific level of energy. So they know how to remove the energy, what we call prana or chi, from the physical being. That's all they've done. They've just, meditated so long on their consciousness that the consciousness is bigger than who they are. I mean, there is a story about Saint Teresa of Avila. Any of you been to Avila or know about Saint Teresa? Yeah, it's beautiful. And if you have you read her story and her life story? Really read it, I love the story. I've been to Avila 3 times, because once you read the story, then the place has meaning. Yeah? Otherwise, it's just no meaning. And then you go, oh my God, this is really quite incredible. She was so in love with Lord Jesus. She really was. And her whole life was service. She loved she's the one who started the Carmelite order. But she loved the people who worked with her, all the nuns that loved her. They became nuns later on. And she just used to sing all day and talk about God in everybody and everything. But God was Lord Jesus, right? Doesn't matter. It's all names and forms. Doesn't matter what name you give it, So, and this love grew and grew till she saw it in her classmates and, the people that were working with her. And so every time later on when they had a convent built, every time she walked through a corridor and she saw this beautiful picture of Lord Jesus that she loved, automatically she would levitate. And the nuns had to pull her down. Why? Because her consciousness, her energy in her body, she had so connected with the one beyond the body. She wasn't really in her body anymore. And this is where the Upanishads are great texts, old texts, the Vedas come in, because they describe this energy as the Lord of Love. the Lord of love. And to me, this made so much sense because if you are in that state of love, you're in a state of ecstasy. And this is what divine consciousness is all about, the state of ecstasy. And when you're in that state of ecstasy, that energy takes over. You all know, you've all been in love. Well, how does that make you feel when you're really in love? I always ask married couples when they want a divorce. Or when they suddenly, from love, they turn to hate. I ask them one question. Don't you remember the ecstasy you experienced when you were first together? Have you forgotten all that? Have you forgotten all that? What is it about time and space that we forget to be kind in that consciousness? What is it that we've forgotten? We've gotten so wrapped in I, me, and mine that we forget the deliciousness and the beauty of true love and kindness. When you first start, you're enthusiastic. You want to see, the difference is service. You want to serve the person because you want them to like you, right? So you will do anything to please the person. The moment the commitment is made, everything changes. It's ownership now. You want to change the person to make them be what you want them to be. There's no more acceptance. There's, oh, I don't like the way you do this. What did you tell me before? You know me for 3 or 4 years. Why did you marry me and then try and change me? Do you know what I'm saying? And I ask people, why do you do that? No, it's not the person, it's your own mind, your own thinking. We take things for granted, We don't see the divine in everyone. If we saw the divine in everyone, then our relationships would be beautiful. Because you would realize that, even if that person was angry at you, there was something that was their mind, but there's something so beautiful in them that you fell in love with in the first place. And okay, the mind is sick for 15, 20 minutes. Ignore it. Won't you forgive your child? So if you treated your partner as your child, then you wouldn't have the same problems. But we find it so easy to forgive children till they grow up. Do you see? We create all these ideas that society has taught us, and we lose the reality of what is true. What is true wisdom? And true wisdom is living in this energy of consciousness, divine consciousness, delving into this consciousness. And this consciousness lives in all of us. And we are given the energy of what we call Shakti. Shakti is the spiritual energy in our body. And in the Catholic tradition or the Christian tradition, you would call it the Holy Spirit. We call it Kundalini. And Shakti is that energy, the chi, the prana in us that we are to invoke. We invoke the energy. It's Mother Earth. Mother Earth is our field where we work. Earth is our field. Earth is where we are walking and living. This is where we learn. This is our university. And the real learning happens inside of us, not outside of us. The outside is just there to teach us what's going on inside. And to make this instrument into a pure vessel so that we can actually, instead of complaining about life, enjoy it with all its oddities, with all its pain, with all its sorrows, and with all its joys and pleasures too. If we can really understand all that, we can live such a divine existence. And that's what this teaching is all about. Throughout the years, that is what this teaching is all about. Go within. Every time you get confused, ask yourself, which fish am I holding on to? Our Master Sri Swami Satchidananda used to say, think it's normally the self-fish. Isn't it true when you're selfish? That's it. I love that. I think that is so cool. So this is, divine Shakti, and this is where I would love for you to hear, because Shakti exists in their voices, and Narayani has this, and she has the great gift of helping us raise this Shakti, or this energy. And so which one will you sing for us, both of you? Jema to do with your birth? Or which one were you thinking? Amba
The
Bhavani.
mother of the universe.
Oh, that's even better. to awaken it in us, ourselves. You know, really, the Bhagavad Gita says again and again, we are our worst enemies and our best friends. Really, the only person we have to fear is ourselves, nobody else. But when you awaken the Shakti in you, the moment you call upon Shakti, Mother Earth, or the divine energy in you, it will listen. It's kind of like what Lord Jesus said, ask and you shall receive, seek and you shall find, knock and the door will be open to you. You see, it's just that we don't ask for the right things. We'll ask for lots of physical things and material things. But you know, very few people just pray for peace. When you understand that you are immortal, you're not going to live in so much fear. You see, most of us are so fearful of so many things because we haven't dived into our consciousness. We haven't spent time, really dive into the who am I, really live that way. You know, many people go, oh, Nalanie, I can't meditate, my mind is all over the place. Of course it's all over the place because we are surrounded by noise, we are surrounded by traffic noises, by noise, people talking all the time. And even when they're not talking, the telephone is talking to you these days, emails, WhatsApp, it doesn't stop. So the mind is constantly working. So to make it quiet is very, very difficult. This is why this, in modern age, mantra chanting is wonderful. Because you step out. And when you're listening to the chant, you can actually hear yourself think. So it's quite an easy way to do it. I think this is why there's so many mantra singers in the world today, to help us along, because we need sound to heal sound. A nicer sound to heal a more rough sound. So there is too much. So how do we dive into that consciousness? It's just trying again to be in the moment, to remind yourself constantly. If you really feel you can't meditate, then meditate by constantly remembering, who am I? Okay, I'm getting too carried away. This is affecting me too much. I'm going all over the place. And you know when you are, right? You know. Okay, let's get real. Let's get real. Life is a play. Life is a play. Let's get real. Who really am I? I'm really this costume. I'm really this costume. In the beginning, you won't believe it. You won't. It takes time. Or maybe you will say it. Oh, we're one with all. Oh, we're one consciousness. Maybe you will say it. But keep saying it. Because eventually, when you keep saying it, one day, it will just slip in. You will just know. You will just know. If you constantly stay in the moment of confusion, quiet, what am I holding on to? What am I not letting go? What am I trying to control? Can I really make a difference this way? What am I trying to do? Why am I trying to make everybody like me? Am I best on this earth? Do you know, it's all about I. When you find yourself thinking a lot, you're in trouble. That's where the misery starts. This is why all the great teachers, all the great ones, and I've read so many masters and so many books in the past, they all say one thing: service. Work for service. Work for service. Does it mean you can't work for yourself or make a living? Absolutely not. You need to make a living so you can serve others, so you can look after your family, etc. But it's about keeping the family happy, not about collecting stuff. Because one day when you die, all the stuff you collected, you're going to leave back here. If you have extra, then collect all the stuff you want. Great. You have extra. And help more people then. Have everything for yourself, and at the same time, make sure you have something for everybody else too. Share your home. Make it a haven. That's what you can do with wealth. Great. I wish everybody that was wealthy was a yogi. Wow, we would have no starving people in the world. Can you imagine our world? Because we would share everything, you know. And when you have everything you need, there's nothing more that you need. You just want to give it away, right? But that can't come. That joy, that feeling of fullness cannot come from material things. We've tried it. Mankind has tried it. How many people do you know that have everything they need and they're just not happy? They're just not fulfilled. So we know it cannot come from outside. So where does this inner joy come from? Right here, you in your instrument. And this is the teaching. And look at Mother Teresa, now Saint Teresa. What was her gift? She saw the divine in everyone, in the prostitute, in the thief. Jesus was there. For her, it was again, Jesus was there. Jesus was there. In our culture, we say Shiva's in everyone. Lord Shiva's in everyone. Shakti rises to Shiva. Shakti is this energy, the earth energy, that gives us the force to awaken the spiritual energy in order for us, whilst we are living, to touch the energy of Shiva. Now, call it God, call it whatever you like, but it's there. And when you touch it, you're joyful. You are joyful. When there's meaning in something you do, you're joyful. Look at your life. When you do something with an in-depth of meaning, and more people can prosper, not just you feel really happy. Now, unfortunately, as we're growing up, many people are taught that, oh no, don't share this, and look after yourself. And if you look at people who have been taught like that, they're not happy. If you even look at a child, I don't want to share it, they're not happy. You look at a child that shares something, they're happy. If you just look at the body movements, you will know what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy. So if you understand that and study yourself, oh my God, I'm going into I mode. I think this is going to make me happy. Ask, is it really going to make me happy? But if you are happy within, then everything on the outside is going to make you happy, good or bad, because nobody can steal the permanent happiness that is you. It cannot. Nobody can, but it does take years of practice. And nobody can practice for you. And this is what I'm really trying to tell my students all the time. Of course I can help you, and I love to help you, and I love to serve you. But you really understand the same energy that's in me is in all of us. We just have to know it. We just have to believe it. We just have to dive into it. Dive into the consciousness. Who am I? I am Nalanie. So who's the I that is Nalanie? I am Audrey. Who is the I that is Audrey? I is saying, I am Audrey. So who is the I in us? Who is the witness? Witness, we call it the witness of the higher self. Who is the higher self in you that's able to watch your mind think? I don't like this. I like this. I like this. That's the mind doing the chattering. I want. I don't want. So when we have no control of the I want, I don't want, we get so confused and, oh, what do I do next? We make mistakes, we make the wrong decisions, we get trapped, and then we blame everybody else because we have not been able to see that we are not our mind. The mind is just an instrument. Wow, what a nice instrument. So I can decide, as from today, I'm going to make this mind happy. When negative thoughts come, I have to decide. And of course, as you think, so you will attract, right? You all know that magic. When you're joyful, you attract people that are joyful in your life. You're miserable. You notice depressed people will continue being depressed because they attract depressed people to their lives. So the medicine for those people who are depressed is be around joyful people. And if not, listen to mantras. Lift your spirit, lift your spirit, lift your spirit. All the time. This is the energy, this is the Shakti, this is our work. And if you really can't do it through yourself, because sometimes it's not so easy to help yourself, do service. Somebody is living totally engrossed in material. And you can see the heaven when they use the material for service. You use the material for service. They're in heaven. It's using material, the how to use material. And you are material to yourself as well. Your bodies are your tools. St. Francis said, make me an instrument of thy peace, because we are instruments. We're really instruments. We know that because when you leave the body, you leave the body. Who are you? Who are you? And in our Sanskrit language, we call it Sat, Chid, Ananda, which means truth, knowledge, bliss, absolute. Isn't it funny how my master's name was Satchidananda. Through him, I learned a lot of these truths. You know, many times during my journey, I would ask him, Gurudev, should I do more pranayama? Should I do more this? Should I do more that? Why don't you give me more things to do? And he'd go, no, Nalanie, just do what you are doing. And at one stage, I was thinking, why doesn't he want to help me? Why doesn't he want to help me? But he helped me in the best way he could have done. Because I had to discover the truth with what I was doing. He was always there for me. But at the same time, he wanted me to grow to be an individual. Do you know, that's such a great gift. And when I really was in trouble, I'd call him on important issues. He would always be there for me. It was just the nonsense I had to learn to get out of my own mind. And then when it came to the serious issues, like I really want to know God, I'm not interested, this is 10 years ago, on the road in yoga. And then, then there was a difference. Then after that was purity of mind. Keep that. Just keep that. Just keep the mind pure. Just keep the mind pure. Don't let the world drag you down. Stay in this energy. Stay in this consciousness. It's very hard to do, as you all know, because we live in a very physical world as a householder with bills to pay, so many things to think of. But I chose to stay in this world. I could have gone into monkhood 8 years ago when I lost my husband, but there was a reason I wanted to be in this world, because I wanted to challenge and see if it could be done having everything. My father did it brilliantly. He had everything and he was a great saint. So I thought, can I do this? And I found that you can. You really can have everything. And for me, I have everything I need and much more than I need. And I think, and still, if anybody wanted to take it away from me, they can take it. Really, just have it. Because I have everything I need inside of me. Whitney Houston, the greatest love of all, is inside of me, right? And that connection with the divine, that connection, that love, is so delicious. It's so delicious that when you feel it, you want to share it with everybody. And then you see everybody is it, It's just that they don't know. You just don't know. Why don't you know? Then you realize it's because of our education. It's the way society has taught us. It's turning on the news and all day listening to the negative. So we've forgotten. We're just like covered. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, just like a fire, smoke covers a fire, dust covers a mirror. A fetus is covered by the membrane. So our divine self is covered. Sri Patanjali also tells us in the Yoga Science of Sri Patanjali, by the practice of pranayama, the veil over the inner light is destroyed. There's a veil over our inner light. We all have an inner light. So why pranayama? Pranayama is the practice of breathing, right? Because when you breathe in, try it with me now. Try it with me now. Try it with me now. When you breathe in, and you breathe out, the mind is a little quiet. You can open your eyes. So breathing, when you have that silence, when you have that quiet, there's some kind of connection that takes over, some kind of energy that takes over. It's so hard to explain it because it's not, I can try and put it in words, I call it Satchidananda or bliss, but cannot. You can only experience it, right? It's you that has to experience it. So when you experience that bliss, that silence, that joy, then There's a lot of peace that comes into your heart. So by the practice of breathing, the veil over the inner life is destroyed. And once you see that you have an inner life, once you sense it, once you taste it, then you want to spend your entire life knowing it before you've lost your body. Maybe you won't get into the state of nirvana, but my God, your life will be so much better. The journey is very beautiful. It's very beautiful. Because you may have thorns along the road, but when you go on this journey, really they say you just have to go on the journey and all the angels will be guarding you. And I tell you, it is so true. Because now I've been teaching for nearly over 30 years, right? And I see many of my students who have found this. And this is what spirituality is all about. This is what consciousness is all about. You know, and people, other people, situations teach us. So we need the people that hurt us in our life to teach us these lessons, because if they didn't hurt us, we would never learn. It is through pain that we search for something greater. If we don't suffer pain, we won't look. If your life is like, I remember once I was told a few years back, somebody said to me, a good friend of mine, oh, I don't need to come to yoga because my life is so perfect. I have a wonderful husband, I have a beautiful family, I love God. Great, no problem, right? 2 years later, came to me, I was crying and crying. Her worst nightmare happened. Husband was unfaithful. She couldn't believe it. Not me. My life is perfect. You see? No life is perfect. Pain comes. But why did it happen? I mean, they actually did get back together because in their case there was a deep love. And this was just, I think it was a learning for both of them. It was a learning because he had a big ego. She was proud and vain in the sense that my life is perfect. Do you know? When you get too proud and vain, I get a bit worried for people. I really do. Please don't be so proud. Be humble all the time. Because if you're proud, things happen. I've seen it. Look at the Titanic. Do you remember what he said? Even God cannot drown her. Oh my God, don't say that. It sunk big time, right? Don't challenge the gods. They don't like it. Anyway, so, and then she came and over the years in marriage, and now it's a beautiful marriage. Life has changed for them. He felt so bad, so he made it right to her. She took her a few years, but she managed to totally forgive. And she's so happy now. And it's so great to see. And now she can see it was a lesson for her. She needed to be knocked down from that high horse to be who she really was. And now she's an amazing human being. And so is he. So life teaches you at that time you think things are so bad, but if you can use the divine consciousness to decipher information, to decipher what's happening in your life, you will see what you think is really bad many years later. If you have the right thinking, you may not see it so bad. And sometimes when marriages split, people are so crying all the time. They go, well, somebody doesn't love you, let them go. And then 5 years later, oh my God, thank God I let them go. They still have the same bad habit. And now he's doing or she's doing to that person what they were doing to me. Phew, I'm free. Do you know? I said, yeah, that's how you wanted to hold on. You see a few years later, things happen for a reason. And just accept and look at the best of the reason. What do I have to learn? That's diving into consciousness. Consciousness, be conscious. What is the learning here? What is it for me? What is the situation here? Where is it bringing me? What is my lesson? What is my lesson in life? To go deep within. Every time people are content, think they're happy and so engrossed in the material, they forget the spiritual. That's why it happens. So if you are smart, in the material, see the spiritual. See the spiritual. Don't get attached to it. Enjoy it, but don't become selfish. Okay?